each one of us talents in our lives. We have responsibilities to invest those things. Responsibility to give them to others. Responsibility to make certain that people get the chance to eat the fruit of our lives. And the Lord is watching us to see how we're doing with what He gave us. It's not that He's asking us to give it back to Him. It's that He's watching us to see how well we invest what we've got using our own interest, our own intrigue, and our own desires. And based on that, He's going to reward us with responsibilities in His kingdom. It's interesting to me, before we go to the last section of Matthew 25, it's interesting to me that the unprofitable servant was cast out, number one. And it's also interesting to me that the Lord's response to the disciples of, when will these things happen? What's the sign of the end of what's the sign of your coming, and when's the end of the world? It's interesting to me that Jesus' response to the middle one, what's the sign of your coming, isn't Him telling everybody, this is what you look for when you want to see me show up. Jesus is saying, this is what you need to be looking at in yourself before I show up. Jesus' concern was the people He was coming to find, not them finding Him. It was how He will find them at His return. That's been His focus. In every one of these parables, Jesus is not saying, you will find me, watch for me. No, it's circumstantial in every one of these parables so far. The cry goes out, flood comes, whatever happens, the circumstance occurs, the Son of Man ultimately shows up. These parables are about how He finds us, not how we find Him. Let's go to the last one. Verse 31, chapter 25. When the Son of Man shall come in His glory, and all the holy angels with Him. And that, by the way, that word angels can mean envoys. So that, I believe, that word, I think it should be, and all the holy envoy with Him. Because we find out later in other places in Scripture that it's saints and angels both. It's not just angels. When the Son of Man comes in all His glory and all the holy ones with Him, then shall He, the Son, sit upon the throne of His glory when He comes. Before Him will be gathered all nations, and He will separate them from one another as a shepherd divides sheep from goats. He will set the sheep on His right hand, but the goats on His left. Now, then shall the King say to them on His right hand, come, you blessed of my Father. Now, interestingly, before I go any further, the very first thing that happens is not a conversation. Jesus does not say, Justin, please step to the left. Sarah, please step to the right. Mike, I haven't decided on you yet. That conversation didn't happen. What it says is that Jesus sits on the throne of His judgment and He goes to 12 billion people. And I'm sure it probably happened faster than that, but you get the idea. No conversation, no explanation. We know this Scripture. Now remember, if you're facing Jesus, right, His right is over here. That's your left. So don't freak out. Likewise, if you go this way, you need to be pretty concerned. Because your right is not what you want. It's His right that you want. Right? It's His right that matters. Then shall the King say to those on His right hand, come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then shall the righteous answer Him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? And the King shall answer and say to them, verily I say to you, inasmuch as you've done it to the one of the least of these that are my brethren, you've done it to me. Now, I don't think that list is purely definitive, and that that's the exclusion. That list is exclusive, I should say. Like, you have to only do those 5 things. I think there's way more to this life that we can do. But I think that we should see these 5 things in our life, and if we don't, we need to ask why they're not there. We know for a fact that Jesus is looking for these 5, right? I mean, we're given this in black and white. We have no excuse to say, Lord, really? Seriously? You wanted me to go to the hospital and visit somebody? That's kind of gross. Or, really? Why would I ever try to keep up with somebody who's in prison? Or, why would I ever want to go to a nursing home? They're not my family. We're not given that option. What this says here is, these are 5, we're given in black and white. We know for a fact that the Lord expects these 5, right? Then he'll say to those on his left hand, "Depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no meat. I was thirsty, you did not give me anything to drink. I was a stranger, and you took me not in. I was naked, and you clothed me not, sick and in prison, and you visited me not." Then they will answer him and say, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger, naked, sick, in prison, and didn't minister to you?" Then shall he answer them, saying, "Verily I say to you, inasmuch as you did not do it for the least of one of these, you did not to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal." Again, it goes back to that whole aspect of when the bubble pops, it's done. Everything is finished. Your fate is sealed. Whatever you've invested in, that is the point at which it will be judged. Whatever we've given our lives to, whatever we've submitted ourselves to, whoever we've invested in, when our life pops, that's it. We don't get the opportunity unless God, for some miraculous reason that we don't see in Scripture, does something, which is his prerogative. He can do whatever he wants to. We have no reason to believe that we have a chance after this. This life is it. And it's everlasting. The judgment, the final outcome is eternal. There is no way to change it. It just simply is. We earn for eternity what we do in this life. If we waste our money in this life, we end up wasting it for eternity. If we invest our money well in this life, and we invest in people, then we do so for eternity. It's what we take with us is what we earn in the Master's eyes. And at the beginning of the sheep and the goats, I said it once and I'm going to repeat it now, there's no conversation that happens. Jesus is not like, "So Buck, what do you think, man? What do you think, dude? Do you think that you should be on the right or the left?" "Well, you know what, Jesus, I think I should be on the right." "Well, why do you think that, Buck?" "Well, Jesus, because..." Nope. Jesus is like, where do you think he's making a list checking it twice came from? It's not Santa Claus. Because Jesus has it. He's got it. We'll get in math, when we get to the Revelation, we're going to see at the end of the Revelation it says that the dead, this right here, Matthew 25, here just for fun, let's go to Revelation real quick and we'll read it and then we'll stop for the night. Go to Revelation 20, chapter 20. Starting with verse 11. So it's all the way to the back, nearly. It's the last book of the Bible. Revelation. Chapter 20 is like 3 pages from the end. Verse 11. "I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened." Now, in Matthew 25, we saw the dead standing before the throne, and Jesus separating them as sheep and goats. Here we see the dead, small and great, standing before God, and it says the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. The dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. If anybody tells you works don't matter, they're lying to you. They do matter. They do. If you live a life of grace,